Yo, what's good? It's Mastermind MMA, and Nate Diaz went on Instagram and he posted a picture of when he choked out Conor McGregor, and he was just like, Conor was laying on the canvas with like his hands or like his head resting on his hands, like lying down, and Nate Diaz had his hands up, and he was like, it's good, some shit like it's good to see who's fighting for the number 2 spot. I'm about to pull it up right now, but you know, it's good because in a way it does bring Nate Diaz kind of back to relevance. I mean, I'm not saying that he's irrelevant, but you know, he is the guy that did beat Conor McGregor. So it's going to be a good fight for that number 2 spot. 100 emoji, and it's like, yeah, you did beat Conor. Yeah, I actually had Nate winning the second fight, but I understood and wasn't mad that I could see how Conor got the nod on like. All right, so I'm just gonna say it. When it comes to scoring a fight and the 10-point must system, I see how Conor could win. But when it comes to a fight as a whole with momentum in the end and shit like that, and if it was more than 5 rounds, yada 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 yada, I had Nate winning that. So it's like, I understand, but you know, I think that this fight is so big that anybody's reaction, even Nate Diaz's, is gonna get lost, because this is just like, it's just a fucking monster of a fight. You know, we never seen this before, ever. Like historically, you can't even go back because MMA is so new. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't think of like I mean, we did have Randy Couture versus James Toney, but what if we had Randy Couture versus like a Mike Tyson or some shit? You know what I'm saying? Which wouldn't even be that entertaining because Randy's more of a ground and pound wrestler. But it's, you see, I don't think people are going to be thinking about who Conor lost to, at least the casual fans, because yeah, the casual fans know that he lost to Nate Diaz, but the casual fans watched the second fight as well, and then they saw Conor got the win. So they don't know enough. They're not educated in fighting enough to break down on the scorecards and this and who had, you know, all the criteria and all that. That was a fun fight. Conor won. Okay, good. Oh, Conor won a sec. Oh, they probably didn't even watch 205, but heard he got 2 belts. You know what I mean? So, to the casual fan, to public perception, I think this is gonna get lost. But I think that shit is funny, and I'd like to see Nate Diaz get on. Dana White, cut a check and get Nate Diaz on this card. Get Nate Diaz to fight somebody. I don't know, I mean, Canelo's taken, Triple G's taken, maybe Cotto. I don't know, man. Like Diaz, Cotto, some shit, bro. Get some boxers. Get Nate paid, bro. And Nate definitely, because Nate before all this shit was like, yo, fuck Floyd Conor, I'll fuck up Floyd. You know what I mean? He said this back in the day, and he's like, he has his boxing license as well. So I mean, like, let's get Nate involved somehow. I mean, I'm not trying to merge the Diaz McGregor name, but it kind of like already is. You know what I'm saying? So like, might as well get Nate paid. Like Nate, before anyone was talking about going over to boxing, it was the Diaz brothers, especially Nate. Nate tried to get his contract bought out by a boxing promoter, but the UFC wouldn't let him. So I feel like Nate should get on this bitch. I know I just like totally went away from the point of the video, but still, yeah. So I think Nate, this is just gonna get lost because you got Stipe calling out all this, Joshua and Cub calling out this person, blah 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 blah. Everyone's like, oh shit, the fight, and then you just have Nate Diaz like, yeah, motherfucker, I choked his ass out and beat his ass. So it's like, oh yeah. So and then and it's kind of cool because Nate Diaz is reminding people, all right, you know, like, you give it like, his hype is at an all-time high, and it's like for good reason, but don't forget, like 400 days ago I finished him. You know, it's probably like more than that, but still, you get my point. Like a little over a year ago, I finished him. So it's like he has a point. And then the second fight was a close fight, so he does have another point. And then he is owed a trilogy fight, in my opinion. They need to make that happen because, like, why wouldn't you? So yeah, so honestly, it's kind of him keeping relevant. So if Conor comes back and say it does fucking 5 million, 6 million pay-per-view buys, which is very, very realistic. Say it does 6 million pay-per-view buys and Conor comes back, he has a few fights left on his contract, and he's like, fuck what, like, Ferguson is a tough fight, Diaz is a tough fight, they're almost equally as tough. Maybe Tony Ferguson might be, I mean, that's like that, those are both really, really tough fights for Conor. So if he's coming back to defend his belt, Tony is definitely the number one contender. But I don't, like, you know what, he might just do Nate Diaz 3 and then just cash the fuck out, and then might, you know, and then maybe he'll fight Tony or some shit. So, or maybe he'll come back and fight Tony, but after he fights Tony, he needs to fight Diaz, most definitely. And yeah, man, so that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and you already know it's Mastermind MMA.